That's all good.
And we're live.
Woo!
Welcome to another episode of Rankum. Today we've got a very fun list, a weird list, a wacky list, depending on which version of Nick Cage you want to go with. But yeah, we're ranking Nicolas Cage movies in honor for his movie, which I'm pretty sure is straight to DVD, but it's a movie that's coming out starring him. That's why I put it on there, a score to settle. But I've got a great panel here. With us to my, I don't know what side, but Doug, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Malcolm. I'm excited to get into the super weird, super non-known Nick Cage films. Yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah. And next, in the line is we've got Brian Michaels back. Brian, how are you going?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be up here in the corner box where I can poke at the duck a little bit. No, but I'm looking forward to this. This will be fun. I mean, Nicolas Cage gets a lot of crap for some of the straight-to-video stuff he's done, but he's done a lot of good movies. And like we were talking beforehand, there are many different Nick Cages, and it's going to be fun to talk about.
And down in the bottom left or right, I don't know, not sure which side up is Ryan. Ryan, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know what direction you're talking about. But anyway, it's fun to be here. Thank you for having me. This is going to be a great show. I think we got an all-star panel here tonight, especially Big Papa. It's hard not to do a show without Jeff here, so this is going to be the best show ever. The ratings are going to skyrocket. The buy rates are going to be through the roof. So let's have a good show and let's have some fun in the process, my man.
Well, good. And just back from vacation, we've got Jeff. Jeff, how's it going?
I'm back here at the bottom bitch corner here on StreamYard, but I'm very excited to be on the show again. It's always a good time to be here on Take 3. Yeah, great panel tonight. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff to talk about, and talk about the quagmire that is Nick Cage and his ever expanding direct-to-DVD videography. So we're gonna be here a while.
But yeah, how the show works is we go around, nominate a movie we think belongs on the top 12 list, and then we'll say yes or no whether it should be on the list, and then at the end we rank them in the order that we prefer them. But this is probably the first time on a ranking list in a while where I really don't have a lot of options, because there's actually I didn't realize how much Nicolas Cage movies I have not seen.
Oh no!
I'd say he released 4 more direct-to-DVD videos just in this conversation right now, and filming one right now.
But yeah, I'm gonna start. But yeah, I'm gonna start off with Jeff. Jeff, what's the first movie you're going to throw out there?
Starting with me, all right. Well, why don't we start off with a good one? I mean, to understand Nick Cage is to love him, and we got to start with the one that usually people associate as one of his better roles, and the one that really got him on the market as one to really watch and to take seriously, and that's his role in Leaving Las Vegas. That to me was just like the pinnacle point of seeing that Nick Cage is more than just buggy eyes and crazy monotone screaming. This proved he was very damaged. It's one of those rare occurrences, too, where you don't see the actor, you see the character, and just the complete downgrade of him. It is such an emotional movie. It's such a beautiful performance. 100% has to be on this list. So Leaving Las Vegas is on the table.
Ryan, what do you say about Leaving Las Vegas?
Well, first,
this is pretty. Oh, you said Ryan. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, did you say Brian or Ryan? I'm sorry.
I said Ryan.
Oh, this is going to be a fun night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night. That's when it's gonna be. Anyway, before I was respectfully interrupted by our good friend Brian in the corner by the duck here. First of all, I've never been to the great city of Sin City, Las Vegas, so I don't know what happens there. All I know is that the word gambling gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of drinking. But here's the problem. I know there's a beautiful young actress in this movie by the name of Elizabeth Shue, but she's not the subject matter of this conversation, so I can't talk about Elizabeth Shue and her performance in other films. Unfortunately, I have not seen this movie, and I know, Jeff, I'm sorry, man. I really want to see it. It's on my list of a billion more that I need to see before I croak. But in good conscience, I don't want to lie to the audience. I don't want to lie to the investors that are watching this show right now. So I'm going to have to say no or nothing for me because I have yet to see the film. I've only seen bits and pieces of it on the thing called YouTube. But it's on my list, Jeff. It's going to happen one way or the other. But
In respect for the movie, I'm gonna take a sip.
you go right ahead, man. Go right
Instead
ahead.
of
Take as
pouring
many
it out.
shots as you want.
Instead of pouring it, I'm just gonna take the sip.
That's okay.
Now, Brian, what do you
With
think
a
about
B.
leaving Las Vegas?
Now I'm going to talk. No, this is what I was talking about earlier when I talked about the many Nick Cages, because I mean, people know him for being kind of weird and wild and wacky, but that's like Jeff was saying, is kind of where people kind of took notice of him, that he, can actually be a good dramatic actor, and I thought he did an excellent job in it. Is it one of my favorite Nick Cage movies? No, not even close. But it is definitely a good performance by him, and I like the movie. It's funny, if Ryan went on YouTube or anything looking for the trailer, I watched it again today, and the trailer tries to make it look like some kind of romantic comedy or something. It's really misleading.
Boy, are you in for a treat?
Yeah, it's a depressing movie, but yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, and I would have no problem with it making the list. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Doug, what do you say about leaving Las Vegas?
So yeah, I tried to extend that out as long as I could. I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas in a while. I was going through the list of Cage movies that I wanted to watch to make sure that I definitely wanted them on the list, and I just didn't have enough time to watch Leaving Las Vegas again. And it's just been so long that I haven't seen it in a while, and I can't make a judgment off that. I remember some scenes. It's just I haven't seen the movie in forever.
Yeah, sadly, I just haven't seen it. It was one of the ones that wasn't on Netflix when I looked this morning to try and watch it. So, yeah, if it was there, it would have been one that I would have tried to make sure I get to see. But it's one that I've always wanted to see. I've seen various clips of him in it, so it's one that I do want to see, and we'll try and get to see it at some stage. But Ryan, what's
Now
the
you're
next
taking
movie you're going?
I got to keep going.
Okay, was that Brian with a B?
That's Ryan.
See, I couldn't hear you. You know what? Just call me Michaels or something. That's fine.
Yeah.
Either that or call him the Duck Man because he's the one sitting by the
Or as long as
by
we're
the
going
duck.
clockwise, I'll know. So after Jeff comes Ryan. Go Ryan. Keep the same order.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the same order.
Okay then.
Yeah, or we can do it that way. Either way. All right. So I want to save some of the really some of the other films for a little bit later. I'm gonna go with one that I don't think gets talked about enough as far as his filmography goes. This is actually one of his better films that he performed in. It was there were a few moments of levity, but it was a bit more of a bit of a mix of a drama and a comedy, so a dramedy, if you will. It's called The Family Man, and it stars him and Teo Leone, and he's a financial guy. He has nothing in his life. He missed out on his first love, and then he has what is it called? Like the Christmas thing. What's not White Christmas? What is it? It's a Wonderful Life kind of scenario where he finds out what would happen if he got together with the love of his life, which is played by Teo Leone in this case, and he finds out that he has a wife and kids and all this kind of stuff. So it's like a what-if scenario, and it's a great dramedy film. Great actors, great performances. Nicolas Cage delivers a fantastic performance, and this is a great film I think a lot of people should see. I don't think a lot of people have, but you should see The Family Man. It came out in 2000. Look it up. It's great, wonderfully acted, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to throw The Family Man on the table and see what happens. So let's put The Family Man on the table on this one.
Now, Duckman, what do you say about The Family Man?
That works. That was a great animated series, by the way. Just want to say.
Yes.
Family Man's one I always get mixed up with Weatherman, first of all. So I had to go back and make sure I got it on part. But I'm kind of where Doug was in Leaving Las Vegas. I saw it a long time ago, and I don't remember it real well. I remember thinking it was okay, but I would not put it in my favorite, so I'm going to have to vote no on it.
Doug, what do you say about The Family Man?
Yeah, so me and Brian totally switched spots this time because I do remember The Family Man. It's a movie that I actually kind of watched during Christmas time because it's the kind of great alternate version of It's a Wonderful Life. Not to say it's of the same quality. Not to say comments are going to go down.
And there go the views.
But I do like that movie. I think it has a lot of heart. I think the reason it has a lot of heart is because of Nicolas Cage's performance in it. So yeah, it's a yeah for me.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, the Family Man is an easy yes for me as well. I love the Family Man. It's one that I remember seeing a long time ago, and it's just one that it just sticks out to me, especially when they always use songs. That's not my wife. Those are my kids. That's just one of my favorite sort of moments. And they
Yeah.
use the song as well, and so yeah. Jeff, Family Man does make list. What would you have said?
This would have been a yes for me. I mean, when you like break down like the top 12, I mean, this is definitely a top 12, not a top list contender, but it's still a very genuinely good movie. It feels really good when it hits you in the heart, and it's just you can connect with it on whatever level you can, and it's just very heartwarming and good performances all around. So this would have been a yes for me.
So Michaels, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay.
Just gonna cycle through the nicknames.
I'm okay with it. I think I'm gonna go with one that I'm afraid I don't know if everybody here has seen or not. I'm gonna go with one from 2002, which I really liked him in, where he actually played two roles, that being Adaptation. I thought that was another one where not only did he do a great job of kind of creating two separate characters, but he showed his acting ability. He was nominated for Oscar, I believe, for Best Actor that year. And I mean, the whole movie is great, but I thought Nicolas Cage did a great job in that one. So I'm going to say Adaptation.
Doug, what do you say about Adaptation?
Brian, we found a movie that we've seen together.
Yes.
No,
High five.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh no, that's right. We got it. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Adaptation is not. I won't say it's my favorite, but it's definitely up there when it comes to when you get more of a better version of Nick Cage. So yeah, it's a yes for me.
Yeah, this is one I just don't remember. If I've seen, I think I have seen, but if I have, I don't remember it. So yeah, I'm going to have to say no to this. Jeff, what do you say about Adaptation?
If you could tell by my reaction when Brian initially said it, this is going to be a hell yes for me. I mean, it's one thing to have a good performance just singly in one role. When you do two roles and knock both of them out of the park, that's a whole nother animal. And I friggin' love this movie. It's so well written. It's so well acted. It's just instantly memorable. It's written well. Adaptation's a hell yes for me.
Ryan, what would you have said about Adaptation?
I know you have to adapt to certain situations, and I just can't do that because I've never seen this movie. I've heard of it. I've heard rumblings about it through the grapevines, as they call them on the interwebs, but I have not seen this movie for the life of me, so I'm going to have to add it to my, what is it called? Oh, yeah, the million-mile-long to-do list of movies I need to watch before I croak. So for me, it would have been a respectable no.
Anyway, we move on to Doug. Doug, what is the first movie you're going to nominate?
So I'm going Off the Wall, and Off the Wall Nick Cage is one of my favorite Nick Cages.
Maybe point.
And one of the roles that he gives it his all at going off the wall and literally crazy, to the point of what the hell did I just watch? It's a movie, basically a horror movie, revenge film with religious undertones. A guy who thinks he's better than Jesus. Yes, I'm talking about Mandy. Mandy was insane. I remember watching it the first time that I seen it. My friend was like, "Yeah, you like Nick Cage, right?" I was like, "Yeah, but it kind of really gone downhill, direct to videos and stuff." And they were like, "No, watch Mandy." And I sat through that movie and I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" I was like, LSD, a person who's better than Jesus, and Nick Cage as a lumberjack. So yeah, I'm okay with it. But yeah, I'm going with Mandy on the list.
Yeah, this is one of the movies from last year that I just completely just haven't got around to seeing. It's just one that it's one that I don't still remember if it ever was released in New Zealand. So It's that kind of under the radar for me. Jeff, what do you say about Mandy?
I've heard about it. I have not seen it though. As far I know it's hurting you, Doug. It's one I want to see, but there's a pesky thing in life called kids. They get in the way, really, of watching movies. Brian, thank you. You can understand where I'm coming from. So, on my list to watch, but unfortunately, just didn't watch it. So, in good conscience, I can't vote it on based off of that. It sounds amazing though.
Watch it. Just watch it.
Ryan, what do you say about Mandy?
I think I saw a poster for it somewhere. Maybe saw the trailer for it on a good thing called YouTube, but I have not seen this movie either. I know, Doug. We're sorry to keep breaking your achy, breaky heart, but it happens, man. It just happens. It's on
I love
my
the
list.
reference.
I'm a little. I know, right? It's on my list of things I want to watch because Nick Cage is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs most of the time, and I dig that side of him. So I'll put it on my to-do list, Doug. Thank you for the recommendation.
With that, sadly, Mandy doesn't make it. Brian, what would you have said?
This is the one movie I was talking about earlier that I wanted to see before we made this list because I've heard nothing but good things about it and heard how completely what the fuck it is, but I could not track it down in time before this discussion. So unfortunately, like everyone else, I would have had to say no just because I don't really know enough about it. But I've heard nothing but good things about it.
All right. So recommendation for everybody on this panel. That's at your top of your list right now. Go see that movie.
That's our homework.
That is your homework. It pans out. You get crazy Nick Cage, but being crazy Nick Cage on purpose.
All right, it's back to me, and I'm going to bring out another movie from last year. Whether or not this makes it, it's an interesting one, but it's. I'm going to bring up Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. While, yes, Nick Cage only really didn't have a lot to do in this, what he did do was great as Spider-Man Noir. And this is one that, in the year when Nick Cage played two superheroes, he also played Superman and Teen Titans Go to the Movies as well. But yeah, there's not a lot I can say about it because I'm pretty sure one person on this panel hasn't seen it. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is just a crazy movie. Jeff, what do you say about Spider-Verse?
I literally just watched this probably right before I went on vacation, so I can finally talk about this. So I really liked this movie a lot. I loved the look of the movie. I would say, coming from an animator's perspective, it is done so. It's like a combination of stop motion mixed with a fluidity of Lego Movie in a way. And I love how each different iteration matches the character, how the noir one, the shadow always follows. That always cracks me up. But the movie itself is just so enjoyable, and Nick Cage, I think, gives a fun performance. I mean, you can tell he was clearly having a good time with this one, and really embodying the role. And just the movie in general as a whole, it's very enjoyable. I can't not fault it. So this would be a yes for me.
Ryan, have you seen Spider-Verse?
Oh, geez. Here come the hater comments, the the pitchforks, and the human torches, or the torches themselves. Geez, no, I have not seen this movie. I know I made a statement on one of my more recent interviews with 2020, telling him that I would never ever watch this movie. But you know what? I'm gonna retract that statement. I'm gonna sit down one day and I'm gonna plant myself in front of my nice-looking barely 20-inch television, which should be 500 inches long and not 20. 20 is those are rookie numbers. I got to boost those numbers up. But long story short, it's going to happen, folks. Ryan is going to sit down. He's going to watch this film because apparently 7 billion people in this world saw it except me. I'm one of the 2.5 people. I know. I'm probably one of the 2.5 people who have yet to see this movie, considering how much acclaim it got from both audiences and critics alike in this nation. So it's going to happen, people. It's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. But I will sit down and I'll watch it because I am a bit curious, especially about Nick Cage playing Spider-Man Noir. Some of the other iterations of the character I'm down to watch. So, yeah, it'll happen, guys. It'll happen. But for right now, it's going to be a no. Respectfully, don't come at me, folks, on the interwebs. Okay, I'm not hating on this movie. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet. That's all.
No, if they come at you, it's because you're 1 for 5 and the movie is so fun. That's all. What you've seen.
I know, right? My reputation precedes me. It's great.
Brian, what do you say about Spider-Verse?
Well, I've seen it because it's a whole movie discussion, and so I watch movies. Unlike this guy.
And the pointing works too here now. Streamer, it's great.
No, but this is one that I had to decide when we were making these lists. Is it the best movies that Nick Cage happened to be in, or the best Nicolas Cage movies? And I was really torn on whether or not I would vote for this one. But ultimately, though, I think just judging by how many movies I could find that I felt like I did want in the top, Spider-Man, I actually would vote yes on. Because, I mean, it is an excellent movie. I mean, I wasn't all that big on the whole idea of A, another Spider-Man movie, B, animated, and C, having all these different iterations of Spider-Man in there. But when I saw it, it really was excellent. I mean, it was heartfelt. It was a well-made movie. It's got probably the best 3D I have seen in a long time, if not ever, in a movie. I mean, I actually imported the 3D version of the DVD because I wanted to have it at home to watch on my projector screen. But the movie itself is excellent, and Nicolas Cage is in it, so I'm going to vote yes.
And with that, Spider-Verse does make the list. Doug, what would you have said?
We don't choose the ballroom. We just dance. It's a come on, man. This movie is so good. He is one of the best supporting characters in that movie. The wind comes with me. His lines are so quotable. Like, it's so good. Yes, it's a yes. 100% yes.
And with that, we go back round full circle to Jeff. Jeff, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, we've been dancing around some of the heavy hitters. I think we need to bring one out. Let's bring a haymaker. So, you know what? Let's go with one of my personal favorites. About a man who was broken from coming home from war to his wife, and then has to go to jail, and has to finally come home after how many years to his beautiful baby girl that he's yet to meet, and brings in a stuffed bunny rabbit. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Con Air. This movie is just, this is the start of like the good, like cheesy action Nick Cage. This is the Nick Cage you grew up with. This is the stuff that we came here for. This movie is just nothing but pure fun from the moment it starts to the moment it ends. It is so friggin' good. I mean, you got Nick Cage, John Malkovich as a villain. Who would have thought? You got John Cusack. You got, oh God, you got Dave Chappelle in it. I mean, like, you got so many good people giving a fantastic. You can tell they had so much fun with this movie. It's so fun to watch. It's instantly quotable. It's the best 80s movie you could have in the 90s that still holds up. Con Air is an absolute great time.
Ryan, what do you say about Con Air?
Yeah, all right. Yes, I've seen this movie, so don't come at me.
Thank you.
And there was much rejoicing.
And
we
seen
rejoiced.
this movie. I sat down one night a long time ago in a galaxy that's very far away from here, and I watched a 2-hour DVD of this movie. Is it endlessly quotable? I think looking back on it, yes, it is very quotable. Put the bunny back in the box. I mean, it's so quotable. But here's the thing. I like you, Nick. I like you in this movie, but there are some other cheesy action films that I think you were just ever so slightly somewhat better in, at least in my estimation. So as much as I want to be like Cyrus the Virus and say, welcome to Con Air, I just can't in conscience do it. So for right now, Nicky Boy, Jeff, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to have to say negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. Not on this one.
Did I mention Leanne Rimes does her own song for this movie?
Yes.
That song is just magical.
Yes, and I love the lines in this movie, but for me, it's going to have to be a respectable no.
Brian, what do you say about Con Air?
This is kind of the doorway for when Nick Cage got into his action crazy phase. Is it? I'm kind of with Ryan. Is it quotable? Yes. Will I call it a good movie? not at all. I mean, it's enjoyable on some level, but I've never been a big fan of it. And I actually rewatched it again last year, or maybe earlier this year, and I just can't put it on the list for myself. It's one that if it makes the list, I won't be surprised. I won't hate it because it's definitely, vintage Nick Cage. I'll give it that. But I wouldn't put it on my top list.
Doug, what do you say about Con Air?
Listen, guys. First of all, Con Air is a classic.
Thank you.
It is very much a classic. You get a long-haired Nick Cage in this movie, guys, and it's perfect. I love Con Air. I watched Con Air. I had the first original DVD and DVD player due to Con Air. They were a package deal. It was great. It cost me about $500 for that entire thing, but it was worth it because Con Air was great. So yeah, Con Air's a yes for me.
So basically, it comes down to me.
How do I live without you? I want to know.
And Monica Potter was his wife in this one too, which is nice.
But yeah, I remember seeing this once. I
Here it comes.
remember. I do not remember it. I think maybe I need to give it a second look. But I'm gonna sadly say no to this.
I am
I'm not going to get a lot of people come at me and take free chats because that was a big deal. Nick.
Sorry, Jeff. We got to put the bunny back in the box, man.
Did I mention Big Rames too?
Did you mention Gary?
Did you mention Danny Trejo?
Oh, yeah, 2023.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway,
Steve
Brian, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Yeah, sorry, buddy. We're going to have to put that bunny back in its box. Anyway, do I want to save this one for later or just throw it on the table now? I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to go with I'm going to take a different approach to this. This is another movie I don't think gets somewhat nearly talked about enough as it should. It's one of his better performances. Yes, there's a lot of comedy in it, but there's other certain dramatic elements too. So once again, it comes back to that word I was talking about earlier, dramedy. And this is from Ridley Scott, came out in 2003, plays an OCD germaphobe who finds out he has a daughter he didn't know existed. He's a con man with his partner, played by Sam Rockwell. It is the classic, funny, yet dramatic film known as Matchstick Men, 2003. Such a funny, entertaining, bit of heartfelt movie. There's all kinds of emotions in this one, and it's just so wonderfully acted by everyone involved, especially Nicolas Cage. If not both him, Sam Rockwell, and I believe Alison Lohman plays his young daughter, one of her first roles in this movie. So I love it. It's endless. For me, it's endlessly rewatchable and entertaining as all get out. So I'm going to put Matchstick Men on the table and see what happens, even though Jeff went to take a commercial break.
He could probably still hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Woke up something on cartoons. I hear you.
That's okay. That's fine. But Matchstick Men is on the table. What say you guys?
Brian, what do you say about Matchstick Men?
Matchstick Men came out. I remember seeing Ridley Scott doing a comedy was a little odd to me. Dramedy. But then I had Sam Rockwell, had Nicolas Cage, and Alison Lohman, like you said, who did an excellent job. So I had a great cast to it. But I actually ended up being disappointed by it. I didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really grab me that much. I was a little disappointed that such a good cast and everything was kind of wasted in this movie. It had potential, but in the end, it didn't do it for me. So I'm gonna have to vote no.
Doug, what do you say about Matchstick Men?
I have a lot of sentiments that Brian has. Matchstick Men. When I went to go watch it in the theater, I was let down a little bit. Just like it wasn't as good as the trailers were leading on to be. Maybe it was a bad movie experience. I haven't watched it since I went to see it in theaters, so it's a no for me.
Yeah, I've just not seen it. Jeff, what would you have said about Matchstick Men?
Gotta see that movie, Malcolm.
Ryan, I'm actually with you. I've seen this movie, and I actually would have voted yes on this one. It's not the best Nick Cage movie, but it's an enjoyable one. This is what I classify under, like, if you're watching a movie when you're homesick from school, and this is on, like, TNT or TBS, it's a good 2 hours to waste. So it's a solid movie, I think. It would have been a yeah.
Anyway, Brian, it's back to you. What's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay. We only got 3 so far. Okay. Plenty of spots left. Plenty of spots. So I'm going to take a chance on one that, I don't know, there's 2 people I can probably assume haven't seen it. But I'm going to go with one that I think is very underrated. It is a Brian De Palma movie called Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is one where Nicolas Cage kind of rode that line between being kind of odd Nicolas Cage, but also being serious actor Nicolas Cage, all in the same role. It was a movie that was filmed. It was made to look like it takes place. It's in real time, so it's like 2-hour movies, 2 hours of the actual story. Carla Gugino was in it, who's always lovely to have in a movie, both for her looks and for her acting ability. Gary Sinise was the spoiler villain. It's 30 years old, 20 years old. Deal with it. But I thought it was an excellent movie. It's underrated. Not enough people have seen it, including probably in this room. But I'm going to try it anyway. Snake Eyes.
Doug, what do you say about Snake Eyes?
Let's add that number to 3 because I feel bad that I haven't seen this movie. I'm gonna go check it out. It's just one that's I've never even. I just didn't know it even existed. So that's my only excuse. I didn't know it existed until reviewing for this list.
Yeah, and this is one that I've seen the poster for, but just not seen. Jeff, what do you say about Snake Eyes?
Brian, I got you. I've seen this one. This was one I was toying with, but since like a lot of good stuff's already getting taken off, this would be a yes for me because I remember watching it and I liked like the voyeuristic approach to it. I love the fact that it played a lot of homage to classic noir and thriller, and did well with a lot of things, and it kept you guessing and it kept you interested and invested in the entire movie. So, but yeah, the twist in the movie, even though you kind of spoiled it, yeah, it's an old movie, everybody.
It's 20 years. Deal with it.
It's from the late '90s. It's okay, everybody. But no, it was a very enjoyable movie. I loved the classic nods that it did to it. So this would be a yes for me.
And Ryan, it comes down to you. Have you seen Snake Eyes, and what do you say about it?
Well, I know there are snake eyes on a dice and maybe involved in certain gambling or card games, but for me, I have yet to see this classic movie of Nick Cage's. But I'm telling you, when I type in Nicolas Cage compilation on our good friends at YouTube and I see all these clips of his different films he's done in his career, Snake Eyes gets brought up a lot, and a lot of quotes, if not clips, are featured in that compilation piece. But unfortunately, I can't in good conscience say yes because I have yet to see it. But everybody loves Rick Santoro. But I do want to sit down and watch this thing because of how weird, wacky, and crazy it looks, and the ridiculous good-looking cast of Nick Cage and Lieutenant Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, Gary Sinise. Excuse me. I keep forgetting he has a real name and not a character. But yeah, it's on my list. I'm going to see it for sure because it just looks crazy and wild, and I'm down for a film like that once in a while. So,
well, if anybody has Amazon Prime or Hulu, it's on there now. So check it out.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Amazon Prime. I'll go check it out.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Well, in the U.S. I don't know about you, Malcolm.
Anyway, Doug, it's back to you.
All right, so I'm going to throw up my wildest pick, and this was my chance to get someone who passed away, who was very tight-knit to the community of YouTube and the Collider space. And this was a chance to put him in because of how broad we were kind of making. If he's in the movie, it's allowed to be put up. The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. I'm putting it up because I think this was an amazing documentary of a film that we should have gotten. We didn't get it, but we should have gotten. And John Schnepp put his heart and soul in this. And I think John Schnepp deserves to be on the list. I think he does. Because I don't know if we're ever going to do a top 12 Metalocalypse episodes or any animation that he's done. So with that, I kind of want to do a sneaky side play and put The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened on the list.
But yeah, this is one that I did briefly consider to watch, but at first I thought I'd look up because for me, this is one that I didn't think about watching. so I haven't seen it because I looked it up. He's only in the archive footage. He's not actually interviewed for this. And if he was interviewed, I probably would have watched it and probably would have said yes to it. But yeah, I'm gonna say no to it. But just because I haven't seen it, Jeff, what do you say about Death of Superman Lives? What happened?
This is that gray area right now. Like, I didn't initially think about it because I'm like, he's technically in it. Like, yeah, like you said, archive footage. I'm gonna go against judgment, and I'm gonna say yes, actually, on this one because the documentary itself is solid. It really, if anybody loves a good documentary about like movies and just like the overall process and anything like that, it's a fun movie. And of course, yeah, John Schnepp, we all love and respect him and miss him very much. But I'd go with a yes on this one, based off of the principle that he's technically in it. But
technicalities win.
Technicality, I guess.
Ryan, what do you say about the Death of Superman Lives? What happened?
Okay, I've seen this documentary from A to B. I've seen it from beginning to end. It was a great documentary. John Schnepp did such an incredible job. King of the Sweaties, we miss you, man. We're always going to love you. John Schnepp, no matter what. I didn't even think of this at all because I'm just strictly thinking of films he appeared in or was the lead in that regard. So, man, I love John Schnepp and I love what he did with the documentary. I really do. But I don't know. I think for now I'm gonna have to say no. I'm just gonna have to say no. Unfortunately, it's a really good documentary, and Nick Cage's appearances or interviews that were cut into the documentary were good and stuff. But I don't know. For me, it kind of doesn't count. So I'm gonna have to respectfully say no on that one.
And Brian, it's down to you. What do you say about Death of Superman Lives? What happened?
No pressure.
Like everyone else, it came down to what am I considering Nicolas Cage movie? If I think if it actually had like new interviews, like he was new part of the documentary, or even I mean obviously didn't start filming the movie, but if he had like scenes of him when he was like playing Superman, but it's archive footage. It's mostly just like costume fittings and things like that, and so I can't in good conscience call this even a Nicolas Cage movie. So unfortunately, I got to say no to it.
Yeah.
I had to throw my shot, guys.
It was worth a shot. And we're talking.
It was worth a shot. I mean, like when we're looking at like the rest of the list, it's dwindling down. The fact that Con Air didn't make it, I was willing to put this on.
Yeah, at this point, we're almost going to start doing straight to DVD stuff.
Hey, don't think negatively yet, Michaels. Don't think negatively. Just saying.
And I mean, let's put it this way: it gave us the chance to talk about John Schnepp.
Yes, king of the Sweaties. We will always love John Schnepp.
If you haven't seen it, go buy it.
Do it. Support that. It's a great documentary.
But yeah, I'm going to go from one tragedy to another. I'm going to bring up like one of my favorite movies that he's been in. I'm going to bring up World Trade Center. This came out 5 years after the unfortunate events of September 11. And like Nick Cage's role in this was so like great. Like Michael Pena. I think those are the only two sort of known people in there. There's probably a few others that I'm just blanking on at the moment. But it just follows like Nicolas Cage and Michael Pena as firefighters going into the towers, helping rescue people, like just showing the tragedy from a whole different angle that we never got to see with the news. And I think this was a great way to sort of understand sort of what people were feeling sort of when they were sort of on the inside. It showed like the family on the outside of their sort of, and I think the way this movie was done, I think this was a great movie, and I think deserves to be on this list. Jeff, what do you say about World Trade Center?
Considering, like we got, 4 of the 5 people here are American, the September 11th terrorist attack was a horrible day for everybody here. Especially I remember this movie came out like kind of in the wake too of the Paul Greengrass one, United 93, which that was another very powerful film. I remember watching this in school actually on one of the anniversaries in high school, and it was a powerful film. I mean, like just like the nature of it, and like you kind of just it was just a raw experience, just kind of going through that, because it happened at a point too for me where I didn't quite understand what was happening because. Again, for those who don't know, I live in Pennsylvania. The United 93 flight landed in Pennsylvania about an hour and a half from where I live. It was a weird time, But the movie itself, I'm gonna go with a yes on this one. It was a fine movie. I looked at it on my list and was thinking about it. Like you said, like Michael Pena, Nicolas Cage, they all do a solid job. Some of it, yeah, it's a little dramatized for the sake of Hollywood, but for the most part, it's fine. It's a fine movie, so I give it a yeah.
Ryan, what do you say about World Trade Center?
Yeah, I saw this movie actually when it came out. I believe in theaters. I did see it in theaters, and it was man, that's a film. Being like Jeff was saying, how it affected us in different in that way when it first happened in 2001. Yeah, no, this film is it's solid. Nick Cage does a good job. Michael Pena does a really good job. The people around them do a good job. I think it was their wives or love interests. I think J.K. Simmons is also in this movie, if I remember correctly. Granted, it's been a minute since I've seen it, so I have to do some Googling. But I would actually say yes to this because this is it's a solid film with really solid performances, and there's a lot of heart. There's a good amount of heart and soul in this movie. So for World Trade Center, for me, it would be a respectable yes. I would say yes for this one.
And Brian, what would you have said about World Trade Center?
Yeah, I'm actually glad this already got a yes before it got to me, because for me it probably would have been a slight no, but I would have felt bad about it. So I'm glad it was already decided. So,
Doug, what would you have said about World Trade Center?
I'm just still laughing about Brian's comment. Feeling patriotic, no. Being honest, I still to this day remember exactly where I was, to a T, to an hour, to a minute when the second plane hit. That movie probably impacted me a lot. I was a young kid. I was in 7th grade, and it's that's 100% yes.
And being from sort of New Zealand, it wasn't until I watched this movie I truly understood sort of the impact of that terrorist attack like that would have on a nation, and it's something that I wouldn't have truly sort of had felt the impact to when the incident happened in New Zealand just earlier this year. And that's when I truly understood the impact that a terrorist attack actually has when it happens in your own country. So, but anyway, Jeff, it's back to you. What's the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, so now that we were sad for a while, let's get back to the fun stuff. Like the stuff that people came to see. Let's go with one that, when you hear the premise of it, you're like, this just does. It seems like it's not going to work. It seems like it's going to be stupid. It's going to not be captivating, and it's just going to be so completely far-fetched. But then you watch it, and you're like, this was actually really enjoyable, and this was actually a lot of fun, and you just went with it, and it brought back a lot of good memories of the old treasure hunting movies. I know it was already brought up in the chat. I think Tony Hill talked about it. We're going to talk about it. National Treasure. I think this movie was a lot of fun. I mean, when you take a concept like stealing the Declaration of Independence, it's bizarre. You're like, what? Like this kid? No, they're high on something. They're sniffing glue, eating paint chips, doing whatever they got to be doing. But then you watch the movie and you're like, I'm having fun. I just rewatched this with my niece and nephew. They were asking about it, and I still had fun with it from when it first released. This is a fun movie. This is a fun movie for anybody of any age, and you can just kind of just throw away logic in a sense and just have fun with it. So I think National Treasure deserves a spot.
Ryan, what do you say about National Treasure?
This was actually I can't remember if I saw this or not in the theater. I think I saw it later on DVD, but at the same time, it's very entertaining. It's fun. You get some good history lessons out of it. Anyone of any age can really watch this. I mean, yeah, there's a few minor, maybe violent, maybe threatening moments, but it's really not that bad. Like, it's kind of tame compared to some of the other violence we see in movies. So, and Nick Cage just looking at that history and telling, if we're going to save history, we got to do it ourselves. What are we going to do? I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Ben, it's like, you're nuts. It's nuts. You're not going to do it. And then you got my boy Sean Bean, who I've loved since 1995's GoldenEye in there, as the bad guy, just kicking tail and taking names with the blonde hair in this one. Hey, if that look works for you, Sean, have at it. This was fun. I enjoyed it, and we're kind of starting to run out of some good options here. So with that being said, yeah, National Treasure's fun. I'm gonna say yes. It's good. It's entertaining. If you haven't seen the movie and you want a good history lesson about U.S. history and stuff like that, give it a watch. It's on TNT, TBS, or USA every other weekend. Check your local listings. I know I sound like a human plug right now, but I'm good at that. I can't help it. Back to you at the desk. Who votes next?
Brian, what do you say about National Treasure?
Well, first I disagree with Ryan because I think there's still quite a few really good ones that need to get on this list. So we're not out of options just yet. Who's being negative now?
Start calling you
But
I didn't mean to. It just came
National
out.
Treasure, like Jeff was saying, it's like you hear the concept and it's silly, and the movie it's light. It's not every movie needs to be deep though. I mean, this is light, fun entertainment. I believe it might have been rated PG, I believe, which makes it's good family
Yes,
entertainment.
it was a PG
Everybody
rated
could
film,
watch.
yeah.
I remember my kids have watched it and they loved it.
Mhm.
And I really enjoyed it. Is it masterful filmmaking? Is it deep and meaningful? No, but it's a good time and that deserves a spot. So I'm going to say yes.
John Turtletop, great.
Bit of a
Doug,
stretch.
what do you say about National Treasure?
When you think about Nick Cage, if you ask somebody who Nick Cage is, a lot of times they're going to either say one of three options: that National Treasure guy, that
Yeah.
crazy guy, or the guy that makes this motion.
Which motion?
This.
You're gonna do this.
So yeah, National Treasure is an easy yes. I think it's a fun adventure film that Disney decided to put out, with Brockheimer, and yeah, you can't really go wrong with it. For the first one, it was actually a super solid film. I know that a lot of people are like, "But it's not really," and I'm like, "Well, guess what? I liked it, so shut up."
Movies can be fun, people. They can be fun.
Movies don't have to always be so deep, like Brian said.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a yes.
It makes the list.
With that, the National Treasure does make the list.
Makes the list.
For me, I do not care for this movie.
What?
I do not like
You're thinking
National
of the
Treasure.
second one.
No, I don't like the second one either. But
He's
I like
anti-American.
I
That's
like
what
both.
he is.
I mean, I like
he
both.
only voted against the
first
most
one's the
American
best.
movie, but he also voted the most American movie too. So
Yeah.
he kind of evens out in a way.
Yeah, it does.
but anyway, it's back to you, Ryan. What's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Jeez, how can you hate on National Treasure? Man, it's a fun movie, entertaining. Anyway, all right, we went that route. Let's you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Before the first film came out and kind of was building, I guess, somewhat building a bit of momentum within its own cinematic universe and with its own fans. There was a film that came out the year before that is just so, by golly, it is so entertaining, very quotable, killer soundtrack with a styling and profiling cast and a styling and profiling premise that shouldn't work on paper, but boy, does it pay off in the end. And there are a group of people who have to pull off a heist in less than 24 hours, 50 exotic beauties, 50 cars, from producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Dominic Cena, no relation to John Cena, and it's spelled differently, folks. I'm going to say Gone in 60 Seconds, the iconic heist film with Memphis Reigns himself, Nicolas Cage in the cage with Nick Cage, pulls out his good-looking jacket. I am a bad man. Goes downstairs, tells his crew to think clear, think slow. We'll get through it just fine. First time I heard this song, Lowrider, Donnie, Lowrider. And I'm talking about Lowrider by War. Great song, great soundtrack. Put it on the table. Let's go at 200 miles an hour in a 67 GT Shelby 500. Her name is Eleanor. Gone in 60 seconds. It's on the table. Say yes, and let's bring this home.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When you mentioned a year before Cinematic Universe was formed, I thought you were going for a different Nicolas Cage movie that came out a year before Cinematic Universe. But
You worried.
Brian, what do you say about Gone in 60 Seconds?
Say, let's go. I can kind of tell from the reaction from everybody here that this one's going to make the list. I love this movie. I mean, there's a lot of people, especially some of the snobbier people, and you know who you are, who only like the deep Oscar, deep dramas and spectacular acting performances, and those are all great. But there is a room for fun movies, and this is another one of those. It is fun. It's got a great soundtrack. It has a killer cast all across the board.
Beautiful.
I love it,
cars.
and so it's a definite yes for me. And I'm pretty sure I see a couple more coming.
Doug, what do you say about Gone in 60 Seconds?
So the question is, do you like to steal cars or do you like to have sex?
Yeah, I know, right?
So,
Yeah.
that's the question on the
Angelina
table.
Jolie.
No, this movie, listen, I guess I got a preemptive strike on that one, but that gave us the whole motion.
Okay, let's ride.
It's honestly why I love the Fast and the Furious series
Yes!
so much. It really is. It kicked off my love of stealing cars and action films being so dumb and over the top that they're perfect. Yeah, it's 100% yes. It was like my second film that I wrote on my list. I was like,
Yes!
60 seconds.
But yeah, this is an easy yes for me as well. Gone 16 was one of my favorite movies I've seen with Cage in it.
Yes.
And might have been the first one I might have seen that of his. So yeah, but yeah, it makes the list. Jeff, what would you have said?
You can't negotiate terms. You can't signal properly. You can't maintain speed. You can't parallel park. Hell, you can't drive, honey. Shit, I can't swim. You know what I do? I cannot black ass out the pool. It's amazing.
I'm gonna guess that's a yes.
Your knowledge of that line was amazing.
Dude,
My
You
God,
get
I
verbatim
see why.
of that line.
I think I need to go watch this tonight.
That movie all night long, man. Seriously, two Rogers don't make it right.
It's on Amazon Prime, everybody.
Do yourself a
Watch
favor,
it.
everybody. Watch this movie. It is so fun. It is so enjoyable. It is so quotable. It is. Watch it. I can't say anymore.
I have the unrated extended director's cut on DVD, Jeff. I have it. It's great.
You just have the whitest person on this panel basically talk about his black ass right now. So that just tells you about how good this movie is.
But anyway, Brian, what's the next movie you're going to nominate?
I think that was our first unanimous yes, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Dude, yes, we just broke records.
Okay. So, I'm going to go with one of the first movies I ever saw Nicolas Cage in, and I also think it is the best, or at least one of the two best movies by the director in question, and that is Raising Arizona. The Coen brothers, this is probably the first movie I saw from them, because I hadn't seen some of the earlier stuff yet. I mean, I've since gone back, obviously. But Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter and John Goodman and everyone else involved, they just play it perfectly. They fit perfectly in the Coen universe, and it was hilarious. It was well written, well acted. The directing style really started to show through, and it's just one of my favorite Nick Cage movies, if not my favorite. So I'm going to say Raising Arizona.
Doug, what do you say about Raising Arizona?
I love this movie. The scene where he's literally racing, stops, picks up a baby carriage, and keeps going, is so great. This is the first movie in his filmography where you get a hint of crazy Nick Cage. and I love it. I'm like, I wanted more of that. Like in the early '90s, I wanted more of that. We got a little bit of different Nick Cage, but no, Raising Arizona was definitely it's definitely up there. If you don't love this movie, if you haven't seen this movie, the reason you don't love this movie is because you haven't seen this movie. So I suggest you go watch the movie. But it's an easy yes from me.
But yeah, I haven't had the chance to see Raising Arizona,
Ooh.
so I guess you could say I'm late to the party to see Raising Arizona. But I know that Bibbs versus Champs will be raising the roof off in Arizona in September 14th when the Schmodown makes it there. But yeah,
Nice
that's all
segue. Nice segue.
that's all the Arizona references I can think of. Jeff, what do you say about Raising Arizona?
I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I respect the movie. I understand a lot of people really love it, but I think it's fine. I'm not the biggest Coen Brothers fan. However, this is a really good performance from Nick Cage. I loved when I'm gonna take these huggies over here. Like that scene's just classic, But based off the performances, Nick Cage, Holly Hunter, John Goodman, everybody does a great job in this movie. It's not my particular cup of tea, but I respect the movie enough that it needs to be mentioned, and this would be a definite yeah for me.
Anyway, Ryan, what do you say about Raising Arizona?
I have seen this movie. Okay, so let's not bring out the pitchforks here. I've seen this movie. We watched this of all places in a film class. I didn't expect my film professors to show this film, but I guess we were on a Coen Brothers kick that week, excuse me, because school wasn't held on the weekends. And we're sitting in class, and I'm like, this is a weird, bizarro film, but yet I'm weirdly entertained by it. And I can't explain why. Maybe it's just because Cage has the stash and the weirdo hair, and he's got the buggy eyes, and he's like, "I'll buy the huggies." So like, "Want a baby, honey? We'll get one. We'll find it, okay?" It's just weird and wacky stuff. And the Coen Brothers are a very particular. They're a very specific cup of tea for a very specific audience. But yeah, I probably would have given this a yes, just because after seeing it finally, I know I was late to the party, but it was fun. It's entertaining. Is it my favorite Nick Cage film? No. Would I personally have put it on my top 12? Probably not. But let's throw it on there anyway. Why not? Let's raise Arizona. And no, ladies and gentlemen, I have not been to the great state of Arizona, but I do plan on visiting it very soon.
State.
Yeah, that's right.
I was going to let it slip.
Let him drink this one out. Let's see where it goes.
Let's see where it goes. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
But yeah, with but yeah, that Raising Arizona has made the list. Doug, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, so we have some serious roles, some funny roles, some crazy roles. Actually, I might get a lot of flack for this, but I enjoy this next movie that I'm going to throw up. I enjoy it quite a lot. It's always a good, kind of hit you in the feels kind of movie. And it's about an angel who comes down to earth and falls in love. City of Angels is, I think, a really super solid movie. A lot of people probably disagree, but I remember watching it when I was sick one day and being like, that's so awesome that he wants to give up, his immortal life to be with her. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was a good movie. So I'm throwing City of Angels up.
City of Angels is on the table. This is a movie I literally just watched and just finished just before we went live. And I'm saying yes to it. I thought this was a great movie. This is one that I can't believe that I never saw before this. But yeah, I think he might have been. I don't know if he was. I think he might have been nominated for an Oscar for this. So I can't remember if he was or wasn't. But yeah, Jeff, what do you say about City of Angels?
This was that teeter-totter movie for me. This was like the one that was just outside the list. But I'm going to go with a yes on this one. Simply, it is a charming enough of a movie. It's not it doesn't hold up the best, but it's charming enough. It did give us Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls. I mean, that was
yes, very much so. It did
And-
give us that
yeah.
song.
yeah. But it's a remake of a foreign film called Wings of Desire, which I think is the superior of the two, obviously. But I think this film is charming in and of itself. I think it was definitely a product of the time. That late '90s, everybody trying to be America's sweetheart couple trend. But I'll give it a yes for this one, but I don't see it breaking top 10 now.
Ryan, what do you say about City of Angels?
Yeah, I've seen. I watched this movie and I was fascinated by it. And Nick Cage and Meg Ryan, I believe, was the love interest in this one. Yeah, Meg Ryan, Meg Ryan. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Good, decent themes in it. I mean, I'm looking at this, or the rest of not everyone, but my list. It's on. I mean, oh man, this is kind of tough.
We'll wind it down. I mean, we gotta.
I know, right?
I mean, it's made the list already, so.
I don't know. For me, I probably would have said no, but it's a good, decent movie. I just don't think it's like necessarily top 12 quality of Nick Cage, but it's fascinating. It's a good film, but for me, I probably would have said no.
Anyway, Brian, what would you have said about City of Angels?
Mine would have been a no. This is not one of those movies I really wanted to like because it was kind of Meg Ryan in her prime. I mean, towards the end of her big stardom, but she was still good, and I like Nick Cage too. But I thought it was just a little too melodramatic, so I would have had to vote no on it.
It's a product of the times, but it's fine.
But it made it.
Yeah, good song though, but
oh yeah.
But it does make me wonder what Meg Ryan has been up to lately. Because
pretty much nothing.
She's directing now. We're trying to.
She's still sent us over from Kate and Leopold.
Oh, really?
Recovering from plastic surgery.
We went there.
I mean, it seems like everyone's turning directing these days because there's a movie coming out at the end of this month, directed by none other than Fred Durst.
I mean, but he's been a director for a while.
Really?
Yeah, he's been doing some. Yeah.
Wow.
It's all.
But
it's not good.
But anyway, it's back to me. Got 4 spots left, so I think I'll be amiss if we'll be yelled at if we don't even mention this one. I'm going to bring up Face Off. This movie is a really fun movie to watch. Like even if it's just for Nicolas Cage and John Travolta doing impersonations of each other the whole movie, this is just a really entertaining movie. One that is a premise that may or may not happen sometime in the future in reality, but it's just a really fun movie. And watching Nicolas Cage and John Travolta bounce off each other and sort of impersonate each other almost perfectly. Whether it's John Travolta doing the whole Nicolas Cageisms or Nicolas Cage just bring all the John Travolta stuff out, it's one of those rare action movies that I've always enjoyed. But yeah, Jeff, what do you say about Face Off?
This movie, Nick Cage went into it basically like, I need to find somebody who can be on par with me or overact more than me. Who could be possibly up to that task? John Travolta said, hold my beer. I got you, buddy. This movie is just bizarre. It's good bizarre. It's a fun bizarre. I mean, this came in the time when we didn't know all the John Woo-isms, the doves, the gun porno foreplay that we all love. But when you look at it for just as an action movie, I think it's perfectly fun. I think it's a perfectly fun action movie. Nick Cage and John Travolta bounce off each other really well. I love the set pieces. I love the tension overall. It's a fun 90s cheesy flick. I think it absolutely deserves a spot on here. So this would be
Ryan, what do you say about Face Off?
Yeah, I think if we didn't bring this film up at some point or another, the viewers and the investors and everyone watching this online would definitely come at us hard for not bringing this up as one of the top 12 best Nick Cage films of all time. So Face Off is a heck yes. It's a fun movie. It's crazy. It's wild. It's entertaining. It's definitely, for me anyway, it's the better, I believe it's John Woo directed movie than Mission Impossible 2 was, because MI2 had one too many doves. So this one definitely works much better. There's some good quotable dialogue in there, some crazy weird dialogue in there, I should say, for good measure. But yeah, Face Off is an absolute yes. It's a what is it, 97 Castro Troy masterpiece. And by the way, a guy who wears the priest outfit and sees that girl in the opening title sequences and just does whatever he wants with that. It's just wow. That's it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but hey, that's Nick Cage for you. So yeah, it's a yes, absolutely.
Anyway, Brian, what do you say about Face Off?
And there it is.
Oh, really?
I hate Face Off. I have never understood people's love for it. I mean, there's crazy, insane Nick Cage, but Nick Cage becomes a caricature of even himself in this movie. He goes so over the top that it's just obnoxiously stupid. And him and John Travolta both. I mean, more acting isn't better acting. It's just overacting and not in a good way. And I hated John Woo's direction. And I could go on for a long time, but it's already made the list, so I will just say no.
Wow.
I
got some
hate that
haterades
movie.
in the corner here, people.
I even gave it a second chance last year, and I still hated it.
Oh.
Doug, what would you have said about Face Off?
He would have
So
said
I'm gonna,
yes.
I'm gonna drink the haterade too, because
What?
I hate this movie with a unbridled passion.
Why?
I think this movie, 97, you said, right? So I was
97, yeah.
I was 10 years old, and I saw the flaws in this.
So was I.
In the plots. I was like, if I can understand basic science and understand that this wouldn't work with what we have, I can't. No, it's just the premise was so weird. It's like, I don't know. I just never really got into it. I couldn't love it. The whole thing where there's basically a rape scene that happens, and I just can't. I could never get on board with it. It's just, I don't know. I just, yeah, there's something that's just icky about that whole scene that just makes me kind of like turn off from that movie. But regardless, it's on it. So we got to deal with it. I don't see it making past 12, or hopefully not, because that movie.
I don't know. They're pretty passionate. So,
They're passionate.
Dude.
It's not perfect. We say it's not perfect.
None of these movies are perfect except Gone in 60 Seconds, but other than that, it's like, come on.
The viewers are gonna be pissed if that's number one.
No, they won't. They'll be happy if that's number one.
I mean, they're probably already going to write because Kanye's not on the list. So
I'm pissed. I'm mad as hell about that.
Jeff. Anyway, Jeff, there's 3 spots left. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Looking at this list, like we're getting kind of like down to like we're getting down to like some of like the big stuff too that hasn't been mentioned yet, and then we're getting into like that direct-to-DVD territory very closely, and then just the shit stuff too. But you know what? There's one in here that is very underrated. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't brought up yet. I always viewed this one as massively underrated. It didn't quite catch on with everybody when it was initially released, but I think that like upon second viewing, people have grown to appreciate it more and really kind of accept it as, this is actually a genuinely good movie. And this one caught me by surprise, and that's Lord of War. I always thought this one was decent for me. I love the premise, a guns dealer, like that's what people like, we want to see like into this illegal trade and want to see, just the nature of it. That opening scene with the bullet, and you see the path of the bullet, it is so interesting and it's so unique that it sticks with me. It's so memorable. The rest of the movie, it's a good story. It's a very interesting story. It plays out well. I think Lord of War at least needs to be mentioned.
Ryan, what do you say about Lord of War?
Can you get me the Gun of Flambeau, part 1, 2, or 3? I've only seen but 1. Sorry, I'm the quote master in this community, so I have to quote something. Look, I saw this movie on DVD long time ago in a galaxy that was a bit far from here. I haven't seen it since then, so I need to sit down and rewatch this. I just remember being pretty much entertained by the first 2/3 of it, and then the third act just kind of, I guess, went downhill for me, or maybe crapped a bit. I don't even remember what happens at the end of this movie, or something like that. But I don't know. For me, it's gonna have to be a no. For me, it's gonna have to be a no. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up though, because I did have it on my list here from 2005 with his brother being played by Jared Leto of all people.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right, the Jared Leto. And I think his love interest or his wife is Bridget Moynihan from CBS's Blue Bloods. So you got that, and I know, guys, I'm a walking encyclopedia of stuff. But yeah, for Lord of War, I'm gonna have to say respectfully no.
But yeah, Brian, what do you say about Lord of War?
Lord of War was one that was kind of hovering on the bottom part of my list. But based on the things that haven't made the list so far, though, it's moved up, and so I would definitely give it a yes, because I think that not only does Cage do a great job, I actually thought the whole cast did a great job. I thought the story, while it wasn't original, it's kind of just like every other like drug dealer or gangster movie. I thought kind of the rise and fall, but it happens to do with weapons in this case instead of drugs. But it's kind of that same kind of arc and story to it. But I thought it was well done, and I would give it a yes.
Doug, what do you say about Lord of War?
So we have 3 spots left. There's at least 4 movies that I put above Lord of War. And that's the only thing that comes down to. There are 4 movies that I think need to be on this list with 3 spots left. And Lord of the War is like number 5 on that list. So it's a no.
Yeah, and I simply haven't seen it, so it doesn't make the list.
There it goes again.
But yeah,
Like an angel's kiss, Bond.
I mean, it's one of those ones with the Nicolas Cage movies that I've got on Netflix. Yeah. It was very slim pickings with what to watch before this, because the movies that are available in New Zealand Netflix anyway is Seeking Justice, Left Behind, The Trust, Ghost Rider, Stolen, The Frozen Ground, City of Angels, Kick-Ass, and The Crew. So those are the only options I had to watch on Netflix from Nicolas Cage. And at least one of them I didn't have to rewatch because I've already seen. But anyway, Ryan, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Oh, all right. Let's see here. I think one of these wouldn't make the list, so I'll go with another one that may have a better chance of making the list. We'll see. I don't know. Excuse me. This is a movie I just saw not too long ago. I think it was like a year or 2 ago. I think came out in the greatest, one of my favorite decades anyway, and that would be the 1990s. And it's another one of those produced by some dude named Jerry something or other. I think it's Jerry Bruckheimer, I think his name is. Yeah. This character that Nick Cage played has a weird, funny name, and it's got one of the all-time great actors of our time, and that's Sean Connery in it as his co-pilot. They stormed the beaches or the prison known as Alcatraz to save some people being captured by these domestic terrorists or former soldiers that are led by Mr. Ed Harris. A million other actors are in his crew, and that would be Stanley Goodspeed's own The Rock. Not the wrestler The Rock, but there is a movie called The Rock, ladies and gentlemen, before Dwayne The Rock Johnson came into play here in sports entertainment. I'm going to throw a Hail Mary and say The Rock because I finally watched it. I had a good time with it. Is it one of my all-time favorite Nick Cage? Probably not. I probably put it in the lower tier of my favorite Nick Cage films, but it's still funny and it's entertaining. And plus, him and Sean Connery play off each other, I think, really well for what they were given in this particular motion picture event of an action-adventure film. I mean, come on. He's like, your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Carla was the prom queen. Really? Really? And then he just walks off. It's like, sorry for cursing, but man, oh my gosh. That's like one of my favorite lines in any movie, period. So kudos to the people putting that line in the movie, because Nick Cage and Sean Connery play off each other well. So let's sorry about Con Air there for you, Jeff, but let's see what The Rock has to say about this. The choice is yours.
But yeah, Stardrew in the chat says thank you, Ron, for bringing it up. He's been blowing up the chat so much. But Brian, what do you say about The Rock?
I'm actually surprised it didn't get brought up earlier because this is one that you hear a lot of love for. I don't. It would not have been one of the first ones I brought up. Well, clearly it wasn't. But I don't love the movie as much as a lot of other people do. But this kind of falls in that national treasure category for me, although more of an R-rated action kind of way. Because it's a light movie. The plot is ridiculous, and even the action is ridiculous. This is early Michael Bay, only his second film after Bad Boys. I enjoy the movie, and Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage are fun to watch together. So while I don't love the movie, I would let it make this list. Yes.
Doug, can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I absolutely smell what The Rock is cooking, and it's a beautiful chemistry between Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. That's what it's brewing. That's what he's baking right now. So Jeff, you were wondering what one of those 4 movies were that I was talking about, and The Rock is one of them. I love this movie. It's stupid fun, but it's like it's Michael Bay in his earlier forms before he was like explode the world and watch it burn. So yeah, The Rock is great. I love that movie. So yeah.
And with that, The Rock does make the list, which is good for me because I just haven't seen it. Jeff, what would you have said about The Rock?
You need to see The Rock at least once.
I'm surprised nobody has done their best Sean Connery. Welcome to The Rock. Yeah. But I like the movie. I would rather watch Con Air over The Rock, but what many people
I would too.
Yeah, but I mean, many people consider this Michael Bay's best film or his probably only good film. But
the Bad Boys movies are so much better. Anyway, go ahead.
Not really.
Depending on the audience, but if I may jump, please.
That's racist. No.
No.
But The Rock is fine. I mean, it's a solid action movie. It's fine. I'm surprised it really was not brought up earlier. I was kind of waiting for the other haymakers in there. This was kind of like the one that's like, yeah, this is the one everybody's waiting for, and we finally got it on everybody. Yep. We'll see where it lands.
You're welcome, Star Drew. What do you say we cut the chit-chat a-hole?
But yeah,
it's great. So that's 10, isn't it? Is that 10?
Yep. So we've got 2 spots remaining. Brian, you've got the next movie to bring up.
Choose wisely.
With only 2 spots left, there's one that I was thinking somebody would have to bring up, but nobody has yet, and I don't want to take that chance of it not making the list. So I'm going to vote for one that not only do I think Nicolas Cage did a great job in, but one that I think is just one of the better movies that he's in, and it's a whole lot of fun. It seemed original, and it really kind of took me by surprise, and I loved it, and I even love the sequel, and that is Kick-Ass. Yes. I think Kick-Ass was fun. It kind of, before the Deadpool movie, it was already kind of doing the R-rated superhero movie thing. It's hilarious. The cast across the board is great, and especially Nicolas Cage doing his best Batman, not Batman impression. So I'm going to say Kick-Ass.
But yeah, Kick-Ass is on the table. Doug, what do you say?
So now 2 of them have gotten mentioned. I was in the talk of 2 movies. What to bring up next, and now I get to bring up my other one that I wanted to bring up. So thank you, Brian. This is an undoubtable yes. I remember seeing Kick-Ass in the theaters when it opening weekend because I love the graphic novel. Yes, it diverts from the graphic novel. There's no real comparison. It's the graphic novel is better, but when you come down to it, this movie is fun. It's entertaining, and it's just a bunch of people getting their ass kicked by a 11-year-old girl. So yes.
But yeah, Kick-Ass is an absolute yes for me. I do love this. So So yeah, it does make the list. Jeff, what do you say? What would you have said about Kick-Ass?
I was like, considering the list is now thinning, but Kick-Ass is a solid movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I know I need to rewatch it again, but I love the dynamic that Nick Cage brought with Chloe Grace Moretz, with like that father-daughter dynamic. I thought that was really fun and clever in a way, and it just made it fun, and that's what it was going for. It was going for a fun atmosphere, and I loved what he brought to it. So this would have been a yeah for me.
But yeah, Ryan, what would you have said about Kick-Ass?
For me, as much as I think there were some funny parts in that film, and the camaraderie between, was it Nick Cage and his daughter, played by Chloe Grace Moretz at the time, was funny, or at least endearing, I guess, to a weird point because of all the violence in that thing. I would have said heck no on this one. I think there are way better Nick Cage films than this, at least in my opinion. And plus, it kind of clashes with some of the personal beliefs I have about this movie. So it's like, no. I mean, I knew the film was going to be uber violent. I knew it was based off a comic book property that I'm not familiar with. I mean, I know Mark Millar wrote it, but I didn't read it at all. But yeah, I walked out of this movie with a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I felt I had like a guilty conscience after seeing it, because there was some stuff that happens in this movie that I would just, I'm like, how on earth would they let people do this in a film? It's just crazy. But hey, it's Hollywood for you. Creative liberties. So I would have said heck no for Kick-Ass. Absolutely not.
But there's one spot left. Doug, do you have the movie for that spot?
I'm hoping. It's one of my favorite war movies of all time. It's a movie in which they brought in the Native American language to help defeat soldiers and transfer messages. I think Nick Cage did a fantastic job in this movie, and that's Windtalkers. I think Windtalkers needs to be on this list because we have a serious movie on this list with adaptation. That was a serious Oscar kind of bait type movie. World Trade Center was great, but when you talk about a serious role that Nick Cage has done, where he didn't go over the top, where he gave a really excellent performance, Windtalkers is that movie. So you've heard pretty much 3 out of the 4 movies that I wanted to announce, Jeff. Windtalkers, I'm putting it up to the table. Are we closing out the list, gentlemen, or are we looking for some directed, DVD movies?
Yeah, Windtalkers I've not seen, but it's also one of those ones that I don't know if I'll ever see, because I'm not a big fan of war movies in general. I think I'll watch them occasionally, but it's not, especially if they're based on real life wars. I just don't want to revisit those wars a lot. But anyway, Jeff, what do you say about Windtalkers?
I've seen this one, and at the time I was severely let down by it. It took a concept that was very interesting. Like, this was the actual thing that happened, and learning about it was very interesting, and it's very cool to learn about. The movie just didn't hit with me, but the performance Nick Cage does is very, very endearing. He actually, seeing that, like, him communicate with the Native American leader, I forget who played him, but they had a very good back and forth, and like, kind of like, it's like, we got to kind of like get along in this way. We got to kind of learn, and it worked for the most part, but in some ways I couldn't get into it. But for the sake of the list, I'm going to vote yes on it, just because the performance was really good by Nick Cage.
Yeah. And also, Jonathan Peck has dropped a fact that I actually didn't know, that a certain former Schmodown champion was in Windtalkers. John Roker was
Roker.
in. Yeah. But yeah, Ryan, what do you say about Windtalkers?
Wow, Jonathan Peck, thank you for sharing that fun fact with the 20,000 people watching this show right now. That is fantastic, my friend. That's great, Roka. Outlaw Nation, hashtag that. Yeah, anyway, for Wind Talkers, I haven't seen it. I know it was heavily advertised. I know it was promoted very much so on a little lovely thing called a television set when I was a young Padawan learner before I became one with the Force, and the Force was with me. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no because I have yet to see the movie, but I hope to sit down one day and watch it, even though I've heard some negative or mixed reviews from it. But I'll sit down and watch it one day. But for now, it's going to have to be a no.
Which means, Brian, it's down to you. Does it make the list?
Jeff said almost everything that I would have said because I thought it was a very interesting topic that I thought they didn't really get enough into. It didn't do much to it. It didn't really hit me. I really was kind of let down when I saw it, and it was just, and also after I saw it, I pretty much forgot it. It just didn't sit with me like most war movies do. Where I differ from Jeff though is that I cannot lean and give it a yes just for Nicolas Cage. I got to give it a no.
But yeah, so if that Wind Talkers doesn't make the list, and the search for the closing out movie continues. And I'm going to bring up the one that I thought Ryan was going to bring up when he brought up Gone in 6 Seconds. I'm going to bring up Ghost Rider. Say what you want about this movie. I really do dig this one. The sequel was terrible, but the first one wasn't that bad. The first one is watchable. And this is one that I do enjoy him as Johnny Blaze, and I do wish that they could have found a way to have him continue his role and had him come in as Johnny Blaze when they did the Ghost Rider arc in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, I mean, like it's one of this is one that I do believe he is kind of gets underrated on. This like one of those. His performance is really good in the movie, and I think it is good enough to be in the bottom part of this list, because we don't want a straight-to-DVD movie on here. Jeff, what do you say about Ghost Rider?
Everybody keeps talking about the direct-to-DVD stuff. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of right now that hasn't been mentioned, and I'm kind of surprised. But we'll see if this makes it or not based off whatever, but we'll see. Ghost Rider, though, I saw this in theaters, and I just, this one left a bad taste. This was just, it's the pinnacle of what a mid-2000s superhero movie was. It was trying to be a lot of different things. It was trying to be like an origin. They're trying to cram too much origin in and trying to be like kind of its own thing, like trying to introduce like a lot of the Blade stuff in the way, like trying to be edgy for PG-13. But for me, it didn't work. It didn't mesh, and it didn't sit well. And I haven't seen it since. It would be a no for me.
Ryan, you kind of rolled your eyes when I brought this up. What do you say about Ghost Rider?
Yeah, why do you think an esteemed gentleman like myself would ever bring this movie up, despite the fact that it's sitting here on my list right now? But that's if we have to go desperate and grasp at straws. Okay? Ghost Rider is 2007. I saw in the theaters as a young Padawan learner, still learning the ways of the Force, still trying to become one as a Jedi. And at the time, I enjoyed it, but then looking back on it, it's like, this is not what a Ghost Rider movie could have been or should have been. Now that I did a little bit more digging on the character, like this character is vicious and violent, kind of like a Blade-esque type character that I would have liked to have seen in an R-rated film rather than a domesticated PG-13 film. Now, despite the beauty and the actress known as Eva Mendes as the love interest in this movie, I love you, Eva, you're fantastic, but she is not enough. She's not enough to save this movie. I mean, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but looking back, it's like, geez, what is going on with this thing? They were trying to do one too many different things, and the tone of this movie is probably all over the place, right, Jeff? I don't know. Yeah, this is yeah, I don't know why Malcolm would think my twisted brain would think this way, but no, Malcolm, it's a no from me. It's a no from the 20,000 people that are watching this show live on the stream right now. So, yeah, no. There are one or two other Nick Cage films that I would hope to bring up if we have to get to that point, but Ghost Rider is certainly not one of them. So, move on. Exit stage left. Next person.
Brian, what do you say about Ghost Rider?
As we hit the hour and a half mark, I will just keep it brief. And echo Ryan when I say wasted potential. Yes to Eva Mendes. Awful movie. No.
Doug, what would you have said about Ghost Rider?
So this nomination was about as successful as that first jump was for him in the movie. So I gotta say that's a no for me, Malcolm. As a Ghost Rider fan, I've been a Ghost Rider fan since I was a wee little boy, and that was not Ghost Rider. It was Nick Cage pretending to be he was on fire. Yeah, no, sorry, buddy.
Also, I'm disappointed no one found another way to quote Con Air again in their response. Jeff, what is the movie you want to bring up?
So this is one I'm kind of surprised wasn't brought up earlier. It's one of his earlier roles, but I think it still kind of holds up in a way. It's a charming enough of a movie. It's something that I think that people can look at it, and it's still a fun and lighthearted movie. Again, we're getting near the hour and a half mark, people, so I'll try and keep it kind of brief and short to the point. That's Moonstruck. I'm kind of surprised nobody's talked about this yet. Him and Cher have a very interesting relationship in this movie. It's very funny in some ways. It has the iconic slap, snap out of it. I think I'm kind of surprised this wasn't brought up yet. So I'm gonna go Moonstruck.
Ryan, Moonstruck's on the table. What do you say?
Well, I did hear a lot of stories growing up that Cher was not only a great singer, but she was also an accomplished actress in her own right. So, unfortunately, I have not seen this movie. I've only seen bits and pieces on our Friendly Neighborhood YouTube channel or our Friendly Neighborhood television set, which still exists in this digital world of ours. So I have not seen it, so I would say no. I'll probably watch it one day because I am a bit curious about if Cher can actually act or not, because I haven't seen any of her acting experiences yet, so we'll see.
Brian, what do you say about Moonstruck?
Well, I will tell Ryan that her acting is fine for this role. I think it was a good role for her, and she did a good job in it. Oscar nominee, I don't know. The whole movie, I didn't care for it personally. I understand why some people like it. It's another one that I wouldn't be mad if made the list, but I won't vote for it. So I'll say no.
Doug, what do you say about Moonstruck?
Jeff, don't hate me. I haven't seen Moonstruck in so long. It's when I go to watch a Cher movie, I go to watch Mask.
I'll give you that.
So
I watch Burlesque.
Well, I mean,
Even you.
Woo!
At least
Cher and Christina Aguilera.
At least it's not that ABBA sequel. So it's a no.
Yeah. I've just not seen Moonstruck, so yeah.
God, what is left?
There's a few.
There's a few on the menu. We haven't run out of options on this great menu at this great restaurant yet.
And anyway, Ryan, what is the one that is left?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few appetizers, maybe a few actual main course meals we could have on this menu here. Let's see. I know that one's not going to make it. Oh yeah, that one. No, wait, that's not going to make it either. No, I'm not sure if that one's going to make it. Nah, we'll go with another Hail Mary. All right. So I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. Probably not going to make it, but I'm going to shoot for the stars and aim high. Let's see. I actually enjoyed this movie. I'm probably one of the one, maybe two, maybe 3.5 people in the world who enjoyed this movie for what it is and what it does and the cast that it has, and a well-established cast. Guy who can see it forwards into the future, and he tries to save the harbor of, what is it, like California or something like that, from being blown up. You got him. You got Jessica Biel. You got, who is it? Julianne Moore is the FBI agent trying to use his abilities for good or maybe evil. We don't know in the beginning. No spoilers. I'm going to throw a 2007's solid, I mean, for me anyway, it's decent enough, solid action adventure film, and it's called Next. Not what's coming up next on your local TV station, but the movie itself is called Next. From 2007, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. If it's going to work, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. I'm not going to shed any tears over it. So Next is on the table. What say you?
Brian, what do you say about Next?
Next is one of those movies I didn't think we would get to. This is why I warned people not to throw out too many early no's, because we're going to start scraping. I think there's still a couple good ones. I don't know if they can make them or not, though. But the fact that you already even consider Next just says something about where we're at. I don't hate the movie. I cannot in good conscience give it a yes, though.
I'm
Doug-
gonna give you a simple one. No, next. Next.
yeah,
I saw what you did there, Doug.
and I mean, I'm just simply going to go next and go to Jeff.
Oh, nice. Nice one, Malcolm.
The fact that this got brought up in Con Air is still not on this list.
Makes me really upset.
I'm sorry,
We
dude.
could be done.
Can I go change an earlier vote?
No, too late now. What do you
But
say,
yeah,
Jeff?
if that next doesn't make the list,
No
go
thoughts,
next.
Jeff? All right, fine.
Oh, it's garbage.
Is it? I don't think it's garbage necessarily.
Brian, what's the next movie you're going to bring up? That's not
No
next.
pun intended there, Michaels. No pun intended.
Yeah, there's.
We're getting to the bottom of the barrel almost.
We really are. And the problem is there's a couple of movies that I think are really good, but I guarantee there are at least 2 people, at least 3 people maybe, that haven't even seen some of these movies. So I almost got to go with something that I think actually has a chance, just so we can end our pain here. So while I don't love the movie, and I wouldn't have originally put it in the top 12, I think it's at least in the top half of his work. It is inferior to the first one, definitely, but I still enjoy it. National Treasure Book of Secrets. Is it again? It was the same kind of lighthearted entertainment. It's almost just kind of a rehash of the first film in its style and stuff, but it was still an enjoyable story. It was still something you could see with the family, and like I said, it was light entertainment. I like the cast in it. Let's try that one.
Doug, what do you say about National Treasure 2?
I'm keeping this one short too. I was severely let down by this movie. I went into it hoping to get almost the same gratification that I got with the first one. So it's a no for me. Just because it still left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I hated the first one so much I haven't seen the sequel.
Oh my god! How can you hate the first one? I'm never gonna understand that.
Because America.
That's right, Brian. Because
America.
Jeff, what do you say about National Treasure 2?
Again, the fact that I'm done making my Con Air references, everybody, but there's got to be a substitute for this or Leaving Las Vegas. I think National Treasure 2 is still fine. It's not the best movie. It's not the best sequel. It could have went in good directions, but it kind of went in a very mishmashy way. But I'll give it a yes in this case.
Ryan, are you going to end our pain?
I'm sorry. That's a good one. That's definitely got to end up in the best lines of the night from Malcolm box. Jeez, you know what? Let's do us all a favor and just end the pain. There's 1 or 2 films I would have thrown out as more Hail Marys, but I can pretty much guarantee they wouldn't have made it anyway. So to save ourselves the trouble, yes, it's a yes for me.
And with that does make the list, and that closes out the top 12.
I know, right?
Wow.
Great top 12, Doug.
Guys, I tried for Con Air. I tried for Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh my god.
Look, Jeff, Leaving Las Vegas is probably going to be the first Nick Cage film that I watch as soon as we get off stream.
You're all going to regret not voting for Snake Eyes. You should have gone and watched that.
I know, I do need to watch Snake because of all the lines from
Snake Eyes didn't make
Santoro.
it, damn it.
I know, right?
But yeah, just to recap the 12 that we've got on this list, we've got The Family Man, we've got Adaptation, we've got Spider-Verse, we've got World Trade Center, we've got National Treasure 1 and 2, we've got Gone in 6 Seconds, we've got Raising Arizona, City of Angels, Face Off, The Rock, and Kick-Ass. Brian, did you have any honourable mentions?
Brian with a B?
Yeah.
Nothing that I really would have ever nominated for the list if we didn't get down this far. The one I considered, and I know I saw mentioned in the YouTube chat, was one that was just kind of a real sweet and romantic comedy. That was It Could Happen to You. I didn't know if people had seen that or not, but I would have at least when we got this far down on the list, that was one I considered, and from the reactions, I wish I had. So.
Is that the Bridget Fonda movie?
No.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And I will say of his direct-to-video stuff, just if I had to pick one, there's actually one called Trust, which I actually didn't think was terrible. They're not good, but of his direct-to-video movies, I think it's his best one.
Doug, did you have any honorable mentions?
I had 3, and Brian took one. I would have probably nominated The Croods because we didn't have any animated movies, and I think that's probably better than National Treasure 2. And And then I would have also nominated Joe. I think Joe is a really underrated movie, and I thought it was really good. I just didn't think a lot of people have seen it, so that's why I didn't nominate it.
Yeah, I mean, I only had 2 movies left on the list of Nick Cage movies I've seen, and that was Left Behind was one of them,
Oh my
Oh
god!
God!
and the
God.
other one was a Hail Mary, which I would have thrown out there just for the fun of it, which was Teen Titans Go to the Movies, even though he
That was
wasn't.
your Hail Mary, and Left Behind was a serious contender.
Well,
That's
I
where
mean,
you messed up.
well,
Dude.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies, he wasn't really in it long. That's why I wouldn't have bothered trying to throw out him.
You
because
voted for Death of Superman Lives.
Well,
Oh, that's right. He was Superman in that one.
But anyway, Jeff, do you have any honorable mentions?
I know
mentions.
Doug brought up Joe. I like Joe. That one was pretty good. Another one, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I know it's been brought up in the chat a bunch of times, and I thought it was fine itself. Bringing Out the Dead was pretty good. And then, like, as far as like the direct-to-DVD stuff, one that I kind of have a soft spot for, Trespass, the one from Joel Schumacher, I thought was pretty
That wasn't
good.
bad.
Yeah.
That one was pretty decent, but otherwise, we kind of hit everything.
I want to see that one too.
And Ryan, did you have any honorable mentions?
Oh, I had a million hour, but no, I didn't. I had a few Hail Marys that never would have made the list because they're bad films. But the 2 I would have brought up if we had the opportunity would have been, I don't know why I enjoy these movies. I'm just a weird person. Bangkok Dangerous from 2008 and The Sorcerer's Apprentice from 2010, which, by the way, was on TNT this morning, and I caught the last 20 or so minutes of that.
But anyway, we're now at the point we get to vote on that. And Jeff, what do you want for 12?
I put in National Treasure 2.
Ryan, what do you have for 12?
I was going to go that route, but just because I haven't seen it yet, adaptation.
Brian, what do you have for number 12?
I wrote this before the show started, by the way. Face Off.
Oh, such a hater.
Doug, what do you have for 12?
I didn't write this before the show started, but Face Off, they would have died.
Come on.
Yeah, and when it comes to the voting, I generally avoid putting the ones I've never seen up because otherwise I'll be putting it up for ages. But I went with a movie that I really don't like, and that's National Treasure. But Face Off is going to be
Yes!
Trout.
Wow.
There is a god.
Wow. People are going to be furious in the chat that it's so low.
Let him be.
Don't worry.
I was planning on
Jeff.
leaving this here for like the
We'll
next
hold out
7
the love
spots.
for that movie. We'll hold
Now
down
I gotta
the
write
fort,
something.
Jeff.
I don't know why I
Wait a
rated
minute.
it.
All right, hold on. I'm finishing writing down. What is it, number 11? Here we go.
Yep.
All right, got it.
But Ryan, what do you have for number 11?
I'll switch my vote up and listen to the people. National Treasure 2.
Brian, what do you have for 11?
Well, there's nothing else on the list that I hate, but just ones I didn't really care for much. City of Angels.
Oh.
Doug, what do you have for 11?
National Treasure 2.
There you go.
I've still got the first National Treasure. Jeff,
Number 2. The fact that
Oh, he has National Treasure 2.
The fact that this is up above Con Air, people.
the fact that it's up above Face Off.
The fact that it's
Dude,
made
Jeff, it's nothing personal.
list.
It's just business.
It's all personal.
It's just business, bro. Oh, God. We'll be here all night. All right, let's see. Number 10. Number 10. Let me look at this list again. All right, I'll put it at 10 then. Go with that one instead.
But yeah, Brian, what do you have for 10?
I'll stick with City of Angels.
Doug, what do you have for 10?
I want National Treasure.
What?
That is
Oh,
terrible.
no.
Come on.
I also went National Treasure.
Dude.
There's better movies than
This
I
list
think
is a
on
travesty.
this list.
I know.
Jeff, what do you have?
I got you, Brian. City of Angels.
What do you have?
I got you, Brian. City of Angels.
Ryan, what do you have?
Guess what, Brian and Jeff? I got you, babe. City of Angels.
There we go.
All right, now we're gonna get into number 9. 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. Different movie, different genre. Sorry.
My marker's dying.
You might want to get another one.
My other one already died.
Oh, the other one already died? Other people are going to rate these movies in the chat.
But yeah, Doug, what do you have for number 9?
Didn't change it. National Treasure.
Oh, such a freaking
Yeah,
hater.
I've still got National Treasure. Jeff, what do you have for 9?
Bring on the hate, everybody. Kick ass.
What?
Ooh.
Ryan, what do you have for 9?
Adaptation.
Brian, what do you have for 9?
World Trade Center.
But National Treasure is going to be
My
number
gosh.
9.
That is way too low. Way too low. Should be higher. Alright, I'm gonna go this way. That one, because I forgot this one was on the list, but here it is. Got it.
But yeah, if I got hate for my National Treasure one, I'm probably going to get hate for this one.
Oh my god. So many hater comments tonight.
But yeah, which means I'm saying this one off. It's a good movie, but Nicolas Cage isn't in it a lot. Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
Jeff, what do you have for 9?
Drinking that haterade again. Kick ass.
8. 8. I mean, but yeah, Ryan, what do you have for 8?
Jeff and I are thinking the same thing. Kick ass.
Brian, what do you have for 8?
Stick with World Trade Center.
Oh my god.
World Trade Center.
Whoa!
Ooh.
We have a tie, ladies and gentlemen.
Hands
So
down.
Malcolm has to decide.
Malcolm, choose wisely, man. Kick ass, kick ass, kick ass, kick ass.
It's the bottom versus the top.
Here's the problem. I like
Do
both.
it.
I like both of them.
Oh, okay.
So
But we already know
this
you
is
hate
a-
America, so come on.
Just say kick ass. Just say kick ass.
I was also the one that put up World Trade Center as well. So
Oh.
so
Do it. Do it.
I
Do it.
I
Do it.
I do think World Trade Center is a slightly lesser movie than Kick-Ass. So World Trade Center is going to be 8.
Oh,
Oh, that was
wow.
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Kick ass should be in that spot, but all right, whatever.
And what are we up to? We're up to 7?
We're up to number 7 there, Doug. Number 7. Lucky, unlucky, number 7. Who's going to take it? Cannot believe you did that, Malcolm.
You had to wait for this one.
you.
I know, right?
You
Wait for this one.
But Jeff, what do you have for 7?
I actually changed because you actually brought up Spider-Verse, so I'm gonna put Spider-Verse.
Oh.
Ryan, what do you have for 7?
The film I hate with a fiery passion, Kick Ass.
Brian, what do you have for 7?
Again, now we're just getting into the matter of what order I like them in. There's nothing I really dislike left, but Family Man.
Doug, what do you have for 7?
A movie that I don't hate with a fiery passion, just to be opposite of Ryan, but Spider-Man.
And yeah, I've also got Spider-Verse. So Spider-Verse is going to be 7.
All right.
Listen, for a movie that he's cameo in, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, he's in it a good length of time that it's not really considered a cameo. I mean, like his role in Teen Titans goes more of a cameo than Spider-Verse.
All right. Up to number 6 now, I believe.
6.
Yeah.
6. Yeah, just 6 is good. Yeah. open what six pack when this is over. Yeah, 6 is good.
We're falling apart, everybody.
I know, right?
Just a little bit.
No one's
just
even
a little
catching
bit.
on to my back.
I was watching that clock trying to finish
so
before it hits
sad.
2 hours.
Oh, it is going to hit 2
We're getting
hours.
close. We're getting close to overtime, Jim.
But Ryan, what do you have for 6?
Same song, kick ass.
Brian, what do you have for 6?
Family Man.
Oh my god, that movie is a masterpiece.
Doug, what do you have for 6?
It's a good movie, but it deserves to be number 6. Family Man.
Oh my god.
Agreed.
I actually put Gone in 60 Seconds.
Dude!
Um,
Hot take. I'll take the 3 of you.
But Jeff, what do you have for 6?
Get ready for your conundrum. Kick ass.
Family Man.
Please say kick ass, please.
Family Man.
Family Man is a masterpiece compared to kick ass.
Masterpiece.
It's like a Citizen Kane compared to kick ass. Come on.
Masterpiece.
I do like both of those movies once again.
He has like top 3.
Yeah, Family Man is like a top 2, top 3 for me.
But yeah, I do like Family Man slightly more. So Kick-Ass is going to be 6.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. All right, the world just got a little bit more brighter. Thank you, folks. Thank you for your support.
Sure, we put 6 at a really good movie.
Wait a minute, has this one been mentioned? Oh wait, okay, yeah, I got it now.
But yeah, Brian, what do you have for 5?
Stick with it, Family Man.
Oh my god, you fool!
Doug, what do you have for 5?
Sticking with it.
You fool!
I'm sticking with Gone in 60 Seconds. Jeff, what do you have for 5?
I love it, Ryan, but I gotta go right for 5. Family Man.
Dude!
Ryan, what do you have for 5?
Doesn't matter now, does it? It doesn't matter. I had adaptation, by the way. Jeez,
You need to go
Family Man-
watch that movie then.
I know. I'm behind. I apologize. But man, the Family Man at 5, that is a travesty. What do we have left? Oh my gosh, we have those left?
We've got Adaptation, Gone in 6 Seconds, Raising Arizona, and The Rock left.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the commenters are going to have a field day with this list. A lot of comments on this
they're
video.
gonna have comments anyway because Con Air's not on the list.
I know, right? Cyrus the Virus didn't make the list, Jeff.
Without you.
And also, one of the admins for Take 3 really likes Mandy.
Oh, really?
Doug, what do you have for
The Rock?
I've got Gone in 60 Seconds.
What?
Dude.
Jeff, what do you have for 4?
Welcome to the Rock.
Ryan, what do you have for 4?
Raising Arizona.
What?
Brian,
Yeah,
what do you
Arizona.
have? What do you have for 4?
I'm learning tonight how much I dislike Ryan. The Rock.
So you have 3 legitimate fans of Nicolas Cage.
I'm sorry. I think these other films are way better than Raising Arizona.
This is actually tough now, this top 3, actually.
Yeah.
Not so much for me, but...
And I think they really are the 3 different Nick Cages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have it's 3 different cages.
110%.
Which cage do you like more?
But yeah, I'm
Wait, let me guess.
yeah.
Gone in 60 seconds.
yeah.
God is-
Oh, you are
Well,
such
I mean-
a fool.
You animal.
I mean, as I said going into this, I tend to avoid voting for the ones I've not seen because I can't judge. If I can't judge them, I
Right.
can't sort of
Nah, it's fair.
realistically rank them in a list. And Jeff, what do you have for 3?
Just because I enjoy the other 2 more. Raising Arizona.
Yep.
Ryan, what do you have for 3?
One of them I've never seen. The other one I do enjoy a lot more than the other one. So yeah, Raising Arizona.
Yeah, and Brian.
I love all three movies, but Doug, get ready to break a tie. It's Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh!
Actually, we're
Come.
not gonna break a tie because Racing Arizona.
Oh!
Yes! Yes!
I
Well,
guess
that
I
is
kind
breaking
of
the
did.
tie.
I kind of I was just about to say. I guess I kind of did break a tie.
So it's between what is it? Gone in
Gone in
60
60
Seconds.
Seconds and Adaptation.
Oh,
And we're
okay,
picking
gotcha.
number
And we're
one.
picking number one.
Oh, we're picking number one. All right, got it.
Oh, do I want to change my vote or stick with it?
And this is tough.
Not Jeff. It is.
They're just so different. It's hard to choose.
I chose. You gotta put it down on the board and just let
Wait,
it
this
go.
is. I'm voting number one.
Yeah,
You're
we're voting
voting
for
for
number
number
one.
This is tougher than you think.
Is it tougher than?
It really is.
If
I
you've
made
seen
a
the movie,
decision. I made
I
a
mean-
decision.
I mean, it's really easy for me, but
Yeah, it's easy for you, Malcolm.
Malcolm should be the last to review.
well, so we already know 2 votes.
but Jeff,
Do it.
Number
what
one,
do you?
just because I like it a little bit more. Adaptation.
Oh, broke my heart.
Ryan, what do you have for number one?
Dude, I voted for the Citizen Kane of this list. Gone in 60 Seconds, baby. Come on. Memphis Reigns is king.
And Jeff, what do you have? Brian, Brian, what do you have?
Duckman, what do you have?
Number one, Adaptation.
Oh,
Doug, what do you have? For,
We know where Malcolm's going, but I did go going in 60 seconds.
And I've got Gone in 60 Seconds.
I'm not mad though.
we
I'm not
did
mad.
it.
Yeah.
Memphis Reigns is king of the mountain, folks.
I mean, because if you had paid attention, you'll know I haven't seen Adaptation or Raising Arizona. So by default,
Meanwhile, he was trying to vote Gone in 60 Seconds off like 5 times.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, hold on. I want to... Right, number 2 is
Let's
Adaptation.
take a call. Let's see what the chat's saying.
Yeah, I love... Dude,
I'm
let me know what the
staying away
chat
from
says,
the
because I
chat.
can't see it from my side.
They think we're all
My tablet. I can't see it.
because we love like on in 60 seconds. So.
All right, folks, here's the list. Take a gander. Make your choice. Put your likes, dislikes. Put your list in the comment section below this video.
but yes, Stephen Shepherd says that we love 6 seconds way too much. He just doesn't get it. Maybe it's a car thing.
Dude, it's an everything thing.
It's steal a car or have
I'm not a
sex.
car guy at all. I just thought it was a fun movie.
I'm not much of a car guy either, but dude, fast cars, action adventure sequences galore, a great soundtrack, and lowrider. I mean, come on.
What about having sex while stealing cars?
I know, right? As Angelina Jolie poses the question a little bit halfway through the film.
But anyway, just to recap our top 12. At number 12, we've got Face Off. At number 11, we've got National Treasure Book of Secrets. At number 10, we've got City of Angels. At number 8, we've got National Treasure 1. At 8, we've got World Trade Center. At number 7, we've got Spider-Verse. At number 6, we've got Kick-Ass. At number 5, we've got The Family Man. At number 4, we've got The Rock. At number 3, we've got Raising Arizona. At number 2, we've got Adaptation. And number 1 is Gone in 60 Seconds.
I think in all honesty, me and Brian have won the list picking because we hated Face Off so much. So when it comes down to that,
It's a victory. It's a victory.
It's a victory.
But yeah, I know that me and Doug are probably going to hear from Kristen and Matt chat and hassling us about not having Gone here on the list.
First of all, I put it up. So
but I'll have a new poll up shortly after this. Jeff, where can people find you online?
When I'm not wallowing the fact that Con Air didn't make it, we had to get one more in there. But you can find me over at Full Metal, hosting, competing, editing, in whatever order you would like to see me in. I make my rounds around here, helping out people with editing, animation. You can find me on YouTube, Jeff Varu, only one you can find. Also working on a new thing, little podcasting thing called Machinate Media. Definitely be on the lookout for that. It's going to be dropping out hopefully within the next couple of weeks, getting some fine last things tuned up, and then should be rolling out with it soon. So stay tuned.
Ryan, where can people find you online?
As if my hot takes on this wonderful show of yours wasn't enough. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want more doses of some hot, juicy takes on the interwebs and my great personality, find me on Facebook at Ryan Permerson _ Aspire Movie Critic. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Also, check out our YouTube channel. It's known as Nerd Culture. That's our gorgeous-looking logo right there in the center of my good-looking board. Find us on YouTube at It's Nerd Culture, on Twitter and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. New videos coming your way very soon, and you can find me competing in the various fan movie trivia leagues in and around the interwebs, whether it's Full Metal Trivia or Movie Warzone and Multiplex Entertainment, which I cannot wait for the tag team of the Riehards to get back in the Movie Warzone ring. Looking at you, Brian Michaels and Caleb Boatman, and all that juicy stuff. And you can find me there. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will be more than happy to see you guys next time. Back to you at the desk.
And Brian, where can people find you online?
You can find me driving to Maryland to show Ryan Permerson taste in movies. Make him watch adaptation, and then I'm going to strap him in a chair, Clockwork Orange style, and put Kick-Ass on a loop. So, as far as online, you can find me all over these leagues. I'm playing Full Metal. I got a singles match coming up, not too distant future, and I'm team champion currently with my partner Joseph Olivas and Wild Stallions. And otherwise, you find me all over the place at Multiplex, where I am a showrunner / editor / writer for Movie Warzone, and that's about it.
And Doug, where can people find you online?
Well, you guys can find me in the several different fan leagues, as well as commissioning Game Zone and Nerd Fights. Get ready to watch that tournament drop because it's fantastic. A lot of great competitors and a lot of great debating. Also, you can find me here and hopefully with a couple shows soon. And with Take 3, I'm excited. And then, of course, I pop in here every now and then, and over at the summit sometimes. So, yep, that's where you can find me.
And you can trust in me to seek justice to make sure no more Nick Cage movies get left behind. But yeah, you can find me hosting Ragcom every week, and I'll have the poll up a little bit later. You can also find me hosting Full Metal Random. This week is going on Tuesdays. This week is the match that people called my bluff to make me do. Is the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy match. So it's good. It's good, featuring Super versus Matt versus Tim Procala. So they all wanted to be in there. So.
That's going to be a great funeral for them to watch.
Will this one have visual aids?
Yeah, what pictures to go with?
They'll have actual aids too, probably.
We will have a live reading of the books.
Read the books out loud.
Done by Gilbert Gottfried.
Yes.
I'm
50 Shades of Fuck.
You can also find me competing in various trivia leagues. You can find me in Fandom Fights teams with my partner Matt Kearns, taking on Future Shock. You can potentially find me in Warzone teams when it comes back with my partner Manning. I don't know if Brian's going to give us another match. He's just going to hold Nick Cage against us. You can also find me competing all over the place. But there, and until next week, keep listing shit, and we are the Brady Bunch.
Okay.